Now let's see how the bottom-up approach looks like on ThinkUp. I'm going to click on it, and then it's an info page explaining about the formula. Spend some time, read it, understand what are the units of measure, what is the willingness to pay, and how you calculate the formula. Super important. And the next screen would be dealing with your unit of measure. Now, there are many ways to define the unit of measure of your market. One would be the number of customers, or if as any customers in any customer do more than one transaction, so maybe the number of transactions, or there could be other way of defining the unit of measurement. Now, we try to help you. So in my case, in the dorm selections, the unit of measurement could be maybe students recruited to the college, or maybe if I sell B2B, it's colleges participating, or other suggestions. But in my case, I think that student bedroom would be like the best unit of measure, the amount of unit of bedrooms, the student bedrooms. So I can manually type in or select from the suggestions. All right. The next screen, again, it explains how you should look at your market and break it down. It could be by region. It could be by different types of businesses. It could be different types of service, and so on and so forth. Read it, spend some time, super important. And then clicking next is the working space where you explain how you divide the market and how you support the number of the amount of units you defined earlier. All right, so let's say in the US, we have, again, fictional 5 million student bedrooms every year. Add the resource and explanation of why you selected this unit of measure. And once completed, click add and you have it. You don't have to have many of those, but you can. So for example, if it makes sense to you to discuss on the US market and the Latin American market, you can have those separated. Or maybe part of the unit of measure relates to enterprises and the other for small, medium businesses. That's another way you can divide it. So spend some time thinking about what is the right unit of measure and how it is divided, if it makes sense to divide it into subsections. All right. Then we're moving into the estimate willingness to pay. Now, understanding how much someone would be willing to pay to your solution requires maybe estimations, guesstimations, but better maybe interviewing people or researching the market or analyzing competitor pricing and so on and so forth. So read this info page and understand. And then it's a working space where you need to add your what you came up with, like what is the willingness to pay and the annual willingness to pay. So let's say and it should, one important note is that it needs to relate to the unit you selected. So basically, if I selected student's bedroom, okay, then I need to think, okay, how much someone would be willing to pay for student bedroom a year. So maybe, I don't know, $500 a month, or maybe 1,000, and then the willingness to pay would be 12,000. Okay, and the system automatically calculates your TAM. Maybe it should be less, and you need to have a reasoning why it's less. So clicking here on the arrow, open up a box, and you can write down why did you say, how do you support the willingness to pay that you just supported, maybe a URL link or whatever makes sense to you. If you want to do a meaningful work, spend some time on the explanation part, because once you return here, you need to have it ready for you. Okay, another thing that happens is that clicking next brings us to the CAGR estimation. It could be either from the report that you already provided for the top down, or you can add your own. Okay, if you have another resource that you want to add, but let's take the first one, which is the previous top down source to the market that I added before, and clicking next shows the calculation and the market size, so 60 billion, for example. Now I can see, and if you saw it earlier, let me get you to this part. The time calculation, there was a yellow indication here saying that the bottom up calculation is bigger by 400% from the top down calculation. And in this case, you maybe want to iterate your assumptions either on the top down, or here maybe the willingness to pay is too hot, is too large. So you need to maybe iterate it to thick standard. Again, it's not just numbers. You need to back it with some meaningful resources and facts. All right. So going back, and basically you completed your task here in this step. You see those two, top down, bottom up, waiting for you with resources and explanations and notes. These are super important. Once you complete the notes, they will be waiting for you here. All right. As in each step, you have practice. You can practice investor questions. And can you easily justify the market? Can your cargo be supported by industry, regulatory, or behavioral trends, and so on and so forth? So it's not mandatory, but it's up to you to know this, how to answer these questions. So this is for you, for iteration, and it's totally okay to read the question, not knowing to answer it right away, think about the answers, and maybe get back and change things that doesn't really fit. Right.